for 15 minutes, Rawan. Thank you, my dear.
So
Good luck.
my project is about a rechargeable battery. So what is a rechargeable battery? It's an electrochemical cell that operates as an electrolytic cell when being recharged, and as a voltaic cell at other times. As we all know from before, that an electrolytic cell converts electrical to chemical, and a voltaic cell converts chemical to electrical. The standard 12V automobile has a set of 6 rechargeable cells. The cells produce electricity from the reaction between lead fluoride, lead, and sulfuric acid. Here, as you can see, the parts of the cell. Here is the lead, which is the anode. We have the cathode, which is lead oxide. There is the electrolyte, which is sulfuric acid, and then lead spacers and lead connectors. So how does the battery work? The process begins as a voltaic cell. It releases high amount of current and electrical energy in a short period of time, making the engine work. When the reactants are fully consumed, the battery will alter electrolytic cell. So when the reactants are fully consumed, the battery will alter to electrolytic cell with the help of an alternator, which provides a source of electricity. Some people call it voltage produced by alternator. And so when the reactants are fully consumed, the concentration decreases. And so they try to do the opposite. Okay. The anode in each cell is lead submerged in solution of H2SO4, and the cathode is lead oxide, which is reduced. These are the equations. So the anode half has lead plus sulfate gives you lead sulfate, and 2 electrons are lost. Lead is oxidized as it loses 2 electrons, turning it into lead sulfate. The cathode half is lead oxide plus hydrogen and sulfate, and it gains the 2 electrons that are lost from lead from the anode half, producing lead sulfate and water. The lead oxide is reduced by gaining the 2 electrons that are lost from lead. It then reacts with sulfate ions and hydrogen ions, producing lead sulfate. Because the anode and cathode both use lead as a reactant, the concentration will be low and the reactants will eventually be used up. This means that the reaction cannot be voltaic all the time. When the reactants are used up, the alternator changes the cell to an electrolytic one. The chemical equation will be reversed. So it used to be lead plus lead oxide plus sulfuric acid. Now it's going to be the water that has been produced from that equation, and the lead will be the reactants, and the products will be sulfuric acid and lead oxide and lead. Here we have a video that explains it. Can you guys hear?
No. Share it with the audio.
I'm using not the app.
Just try, my dear Rawan, to maximize the sound.
Yeah, I'll try that now.
It is dead without the electric energy from the battery.
Yeah, we can hear.
Okay.
A car is as good as dead without the electric energy from the battery. Not only does a car battery generate enough juice to start the motor, it actually makes its own when the motor runs. That's because this plain-looking box accomplishes 2 diametrically opposed functions, using exactly the same ingredients. It generates electricity, and it accumulates electricity. The battery manages this incredible feat by exploiting reversible chemical reactions. Okay, so how does it work? A car battery has a positive and a negative terminal. They're connected to the car and send a flow of electrons to power the wipers, headlights, radio, air conditioning, and most importantly, the engine starter. Inside the battery are 6 small energy-producing units called cells. Each cell has 2 sets of electrodes. They're made of 8 overlapping metallic plates, for a total of 16 per cell. Together, the plates form a compact grid. The bigger the grid's overall surface, the more power it generates.